Since the invention of airplanes, humans have always been obsessed with creating the best machines to travel the skies. As is the case of an airplane that, because it possesses a lot of technology, ends up causing something disturbing. Get ready, because today we'll see the story about what happened to a machine in the 1960s. This is the Aardvark FB-111, the first mass-produced rocket plane. The United States manufactured it for combat in the Vietnam War, and it was designed as a very high-tech fighter bomber for the time. One of the novelties was that it could land almost anywhere. Also, thanks to its flight control system, the FB-111 could fly at a really low altitude and thus avoid being detected by enemy radars, no matter how advanced they were. Now, while we're on the subject, let's get to the story. At the height of the Vietnam War, an FB-111 and its two pilots took off one night from Thailand from the U.S. Air Force Base in U Dorn. The objective? To fly over North Vietnam and sabotage Viet Cong air bases. Everything went according to plan. The pilots took the plane to the mission area and destroyed a group of parked enemy fighters. Everything was being reported over a secure radio line. In fact, the mission was a success. But at one point, explosions began to be heard from the radio at the American base of operations. From what we could understand of the desperate pilots, they were being harassed by anti-aircraft artillery. After a few moments of real desperation, they were able to get away far enough to broadcast more calmly again. Apparently, they had been attacked by high-caliber guns designed to shoot down slower bombers than the FB-111, so they had come out unscathed. But in the middle of the transmission, something happened that nobody expected anymore. A loud detonation was heard and communication was cut off. It was impossible to retake it, so everyone at the base of operations concluded the obvious. The FB-111 had been shot down, like hundreds of other American planes during the war. But the strangest thing comes now. In the morning hours of that same day, when the FB-111 was supposed to have returned from its mission in Vietnam, the control tower radars picked up an aircraft approaching the airstrip. When the aircraft entered the field of vision, everyone was stunned. They hadn't shot down the plane. They had managed to survive and return to base. At least, they thought they had. The FB-111 descended perfectly, landed safely, and headed straight for its intended hangar. It entered the hangar, and when the airport staff opened the hatch to welcome the pilots, they were met with a frightening and yet amazing scene. Both men, in other words, their bodies, were torn apart all over the cabin. The anti-aircraft missile had apparently penetrated the aircraft and detonated inside, killing the two pilots. But even so, the dashboard had hardly been damaged at all. There were many explanations. The most accepted option, and perhaps the one that best suited the United States Army, was that the Aardvark FB-111 was such an innovative and advanced model that the autopilot managed to land on its own. Of course, today everyone knows that the autopilot does not work that way, even with modern machines. In fact, we're only just getting into that field. However, if the Army theory is real, we have to stop and think what kind of technology they currently have that the population does not know about. Even so, there are those who opt for the theory of the paranormal. Maybe the pilots didn't want their bodies to be lost forever, thousands of miles away from home, so their ghost flew the ship back. Or of course, it could all be a simple coincidence. Planes have been the subject of many hair-raising stories. There are some that traveled into the future, some that landed with skeletons, and some that took off alone. If you are interested in knowing about this, here you can watch this series of videos. We are waiting for you there.